everybody, welcome. We're just gonna wait for people to filter in before we get started. Thanks for joining us tonight. Just imagine your favorite waiting room music. Hey everyone. All right, we're just gonna wait another minute or two for people coming in to sort of level off, and then we'll get started. All right. All right, while we're just secretly figuring out the mechanisms of the chat so that it works for everyone, participants and panelists alike. And yeah, we'll just give it one more minute and then I'll introduce Angel and we'll get started. Now everyone is talking to everyone. The love is circulating. Okay. Alrighty. Once we hit 42, my favorite number, I'll start. Okay, we just went down to 39. So I'll just start, I'll just introduce, I'll give a few minutes of introduction and then I'll hand things over to Angel. So good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's live online author event with Greenlight Bookstore. I'm Jean from Greenlight, and we're thrilled to host tonight's Greenlight Poetry Salon, number 23. The amazing Angel Nafis will be your host and MC, so you're in for an excellent time. Before we start, I just want to say a huge thanks to Angel and all of tonight's poets for making this happen, and to all of you for showing up. Though we're not able to host events in our store spaces quite yet, our community of authors and readers is still here, and we're really grateful for your support and for the chance to make space for conversation and connection. Before we get started, I just have a few housekeeping things to put out. So in our Zoom webinar tonight, you can see and hear the speakers, but they can't see or hear you. They can see that you're here, and you can see a count of your fellow attendees at the top of your Zoom screen. I think I didn't disable that. The exact location depends on what kind of device you're using. You can interact with tonight's authors and with each other throughout the event, which we highly encourage, through the chat function, which you can find by clicking on the icon that looks like one speech balloon. You're welcome to post your comments and thoughts in the chat, which is a great way to show your appreciation for the authors and interact with your fellow attendees. Whatever way you want to translate snaps or claps, the chat is a great way to put that. And most importantly, tonight's featured books by our featured authors are available for sale from Greenlight. You can shop in person from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. 7 days a week at both our Fulton Street and our Flatbush Ave stores, where you can purchase books by tonight's authors and many others on site. You can also order online at greenlightbookstore.com for a quick pickup at the store or for shipping anywhere in the US. I'll drop the buy link in the chat throughout the evening. And if you care about supporting the careers of authors and the ongoing existence of independent bookstores, buying tonight's featured books with us is a great way to show your support. Our host for the evening, Angel Nafis, is the author of Black Girl Mansion, and her work has been featured in the Breakbeat Poets anthology series and elsewhere. She's also a Greenlight Bookstore alum and the founder and curator of this poetry salon. So Angel, I'll give it to you. Please take it away.
Yay, thank you, Jean. Thank you, Greenlight Bookstore. Thank you, everyone, for showing up. Thank you, readers. And thank you, air conditioning to my left, forever holding it down. I'm so excited this is happening. It's the bright spot in my day, which, to be honest, that's not saying much because my day has been whack. But you should know that even if I had a superior day, this would still be, like if I had had a burger and went shopping today, this would still be the moment, the chef's kiss moment. Is it really the 23rd salon? Is that true? That's crazy. Isn't that, Kav, you're the expert. That's Jordan's number, right?
One of them.
One of them. So I don't want to say divine things are happening, but I think they are. I'm so glad to be looking at these three beautiful faces. It's really the biggest long con of my life to have this reading series, which is just an excuse to just hear you read poems in a way that I know you will have to show up because you said yes. As Jean said, please, don't have this just be an in the moment thing. And this, I'm speaking to you, like audience, attendees, like have this continue. If you like anything that you're hearing, which let's be real, you're gonna love what you're hearing, buy the books. And if you have the books and you have the coin, this is like, it's a buy a book for a homie moment. Homies don't be having books, low key. Especially the people who are in this chat, it's like all writers. It's like all writers, explicitly poets. And so I know y'all might even have the galleys. So it might be a pay it forward moment. That's all I'm saying. We can't depend on the rest of the world to be at our speed. So it's actually our duty to like be the Jehovah's Witnesses of these people, with all due respect to that religion. Okay, let me proceed before I actually truly get canceled on the 23rd episode of this fucking reading series. We have three amazing readers for y'all tonight. I'm gonna read their bios, and then I'm gonna just talk a little love note into the ether at them. Again, this is like my moment to like embarrass them and force them to reckon with the wake of their brilliance that they're just like leaving behind where they go. And I know where you are like fully tuned in, you're present, even if you have a seltzer and shades on and you're like, hungover and lean back. I know that you're present, but we can't feel each other in the same way as in the days of old, the days of togetherness, one might say. So please have the chat lit the fuck up. Even if you do nan but throw an emoji in there, it's like really our space to kind of like have the connective tissue of this reading series. So speak to each other, speak to the poets, speak to me, speak to my dog over here, speak to whoever. Okay. Our first reader, Krista Franklin. I'm just gonna clap and just assume that wherever the fuck you are, you're clapping. Is a writer and visual artist, the author of Too Much Midnight from Haymarket Books in 2020, and the artist of the book Under the Knife, Canada Arts 2018, and the chapbook Study of Love and Black Body from Willow Books from 2012. She is the Helen and Tim Meyer Foundation for the Arts Achievement Awardee and a recipient of the Joan Mitchell Foundation Painters and Sculptors Grant. Her visual art has been exhibited at Poetry Foundation, the Constal C, Rootwork Gallery, Museum of Contemporary Photography, Studio Museum in Harlem, Chicago Cultural Center, National Museum of Mexican Art, and the set of 20th Century Fox's Empire. She has been published like all over, just like she's kind of everywhere, you're never there. But then she's also not there. She'll like leave her poems and like dip. It's like Catch Her If You Can. Truly the Carmen Sandiego of fucking poetics. The offing vinyl, number of anthologies and artist books. She's everywhere. Krista, I was just telling Krista this before we opened up to everybody, but I have been like aggressively assigning her work to any student who will have me. And it's wild how relevant she stays being, no matter the content of study that whatever poet is particularly working with. It's kind of overwhelming how she reaches across circumstance and even variety of expression. To study her work, to sit with her work, to read her work is really, I feel like, the litmus test for like how secure you are in your own situation. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you can't be happy for somebody's shine, best not to crack a Krista book. You know what I'm saying? Like if other people sparkling gives you the funk feels, best to pass on Krista, because it's actually it's aggressive. It's aggressive. I remember when I just thought she wrote poems. Then fucked around and went to a gallery showing, was like, this is a world. She's actually world building. I akin it almost to like, I mean, forgive me, but like almost on some Marvel Universe shit, where it's all happening in sort of the same dimension, but like different worlds. To sit with her work visually is to sit with the lyric, the lines happening. There's even crossover between Too Much Midnight and Under the Knife, which, I think I've heard Krista say that Under the Knife for her is like her unreadable book, the book that she wrote that is actually difficult for her to sit with. But I still feel the tendrils of that book in Too Much Midnight. It's just a blessing. So epic. I learned from Krista through, Krista don't even be around. Krista don't even be thinking about me, and I'm out here learning. Do you know what I'm saying? Krista's living her life, and I'm taking notes. Please welcome this like actual living ancestor in the room with us. The formidable, singular, just fantastic, too fine, Krista Franklin.
Oh my God. Oh God. Thank you. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me into this space, into this room. I'm a little verklempt. I got a little worked up. My heart started beating a little fast. Got a little scary for a second. I love it. I'm gonna read some works. I'm gonna read some things from Under the Knife. I'm gonna read some things from Too Much Midnight. I'm gonna read some random stuff. I'm gonna try to be quick too. And I'm not gonna talk in between things because those of you all in the room who know me know how I tend to ramble. So if I start talking, it ain't no telling when I'll shut up. So I'm just gonna go ahead and read these things, yeah, and let my beautiful, beautiful co-readers go ahead and take over. That's what I'm really here for, okay? Not me. Thanks. Thank y'all again so much for having me. Hi to everybody in the room that knows me. Someone in my family tree, I'm not gonna start there. Origin and etymology. Rumor has it, when I was only a heartbeat, a still forming sycophant siphoning life from the body of my mother, my name lived in the mouth of a woman, calling to her daughter in Germany, and traveled through the streets to rest in my aunt's inner ear. She passed the electric secret to the distant receiver of my mother's telephone, the games that young girls play. They collected K's to label all living things on 2 legs or 4 that came to rest in their laps or fed from their tables. Carrie, Kevin, Krista, Capri, Kasha, then Creighton. My name came from a game 4 young girls played while I was still forming, a parasite fetus feasting on the bodies of my mothers. They called me Krista and followed Christ. They slicked my baby head with olive oil, wrapped me in receiving blankets of Bibles. They believed in resurrections, raptures, sin and second comings. They called me Krista, Christian. They baptized me with light. Someone in my family tree was pocketed and bitten core clean, seeded, sent off, far out, strange land stranger, cracked between 2 tongues to untangle, thrust among albino alien, bent down tobacco terrain, branded, named, crossbred, mapless, hapless. Here I am, some poor sap's genetic switch, which hopped 100 generations inside black body spaceships, crash Lando, Calrissian, traitor, survivor of Hun and Hut, extraterrestrial mutt, saber gold tooth, or an ire equipped, Jedi mind trick. What information is passed through a genetic line? What memories are housed in our cells? Are our memories the memories of some long dead unknown ancestors along the line? What traumas do we carry that we picked up along the way that were never ours to begin with? Taking the country back, the Tea Party pantone. Once there was a revolution, bright as death, explosive as fireworks that birthed an idea, a newness, so baby pink, bright as death, explosive as fireworks, raw as uncooked meat, a newness, so baby pink. I love how you bring that back. Raw as uncooked meat, how you drag the past to the present. I love how you bring that back. The millennium becomes antebellum, how you drag the past into the present. With a twist of your tongue, the millennium becomes antebellum, pink as a newborn, red as uncooked meat. With a twist of your tongue, the gatherings you throw like picnics, pink as a newborn, red as uncooked meat. Plenteous plates past, you pick it. The gatherings you throw like picnics. Your signs white and beautiful as God. Plenteous plates past, you pick it. Ink spilling into words crooked as cubism. Your signs white and beautiful as God. Exquisitely illiterate, passionate, ink spilling into words as crooked as cubism. Bubbling with love of country, exquisitely illiterate, passionate, history. I adore your glistening nostalgia, bubbling with love of country, your sprawling plantations, your masterful erasure, history. I adore your glistening nostalgia, the way white is brushed on all marred walls, your sprawling plantations, your masterful erasure, brown faces blister in your sun. History as written by the victors. I'm only going to read a part of this. The world is burning. Listen to Minnie Riperton on cassette tape. All of the records are in flames, the archives in ashes, blood pools in the gutters of the streets. A Black girl in a pair of 85 Air Jordans levitates down the block. She is clutching a copy of the red record she transcribed by hand, the Book of Eli, in her backpack. All of the buildings are boarded with eponymous red X's on their third eyes. The house where Muddy Waters lived is broke down. Johnson's Publishing is as stripped and gutted as a woman of ill repute. The invisible fences between neighborhoods are electric. Howlin' Wolf is growling from the mouth of a 17-year-old on 71st Street, squatting in the wreckage of Sunrise Mothership, mumbling, "I'll feel better if you understand. You won't listen to me." Black Youth Project 100 is holed up in an architectural effigy they psychically constructed of the house where Fred Hampton was murdered. A transgender 14-year-old in their ranks is finger painting Afro-Coba murals from memory on the walls with looted Kool-Aid packets and bottled water. A cluster of hooded teenagers is reciting lines from Gwendolyn Brooks' poems in unison at the top of their lungs on the porch, remembering with twinklings and twinges. A freshly shorn Chief Keef speeds by on a dune buggy in a wasteland he created with his own hands. The North Side is surrounded by CPD in riot gear. White people there haven't seen the sun for decades. This is Chicago, as we know it, knew it, know it, knew it. Time is an illusion. Depending on the body that you live in, history is slippery as memory. All of it is a series of concentric circles. The question is, where do we connect and when? Imagine your mitochondria as a listing of names in a chattel slave ledger or numerical assignment in an internment camp. Suppose your body a record of undocumented workers or 5 generations of the spoils of war. Envision yourself booty, loose booty, walking the streets, the unholy offspring of poets and mass murderers, both colonized and colonizer, intertwined in your cellular structure like an unpruned rose bush around a rotten trellis. What of history then? Think of the body, your body, as an encyclopedic volume of 1,000 years of experiences. In the middle of a book you have yet to crack exists facing pages, a story of the bludgeoned on one and the bludgeoner on the next. It's all one story. The book of the dead, the book of life, nestled next to each other like sleeping children. They are dreaming dreams in your bloodstream. Vinculum. Everything you need to time travel resides in your body. I am Dana. 177 years is a deep breath away. How's that for technology? My body, a tether, a thread, a line of illogical expression. I have to stay ready. There was a time before Vinculum when I calculated the distance between myself and Alice, myself. The divide was as vast as the time continuum of Black women fighting for the rights to their wombs and the fruits of them. As vast the space between babies bred for labor or love. The body's cells remember the repeating decimals, the patterns, the mathematical equations of what it means to carry and what it means to hold. My body is the hold between Dana and Alice. Vinculum happens. The body is a slave ship. The body is a vessel of captive servitude and the portal to freedom. It's as if the body is a tether that joins me to who she once was. Nausea rolls in like the waves of the Atlantic. I am a middle passage of who I had to be, who I once was. The jaws of the past sink their teeth in me. I am Alice, Dana, We improvise a way to bring items of protection with us, a canvas bag of aspirin, an antiseptic, the ability to write my own past. Your body is a time machine. It will place you, connect you, carry you, wherever you are, you once were. This is a little section from a piece that I wrote called On Time. 10/29/20. CPD, CPT, a measurement of time. An internal clock system comprised of tropicalia, easy skanking, and go with the flow. Unique to those of the melanated persuasions, CPT does not conform to Western notions of time, which are uncompromising, inflexible, and contingent upon handcuffing oneself to the hands of the clock to be dragged around in 8-hour increments. To the contrary, CPT is a dynamic network of minute slippages, a series of imperceptible and elaborate evasions of the overseer eye. Schedule yourself to death, tyranny of the white man's clock, TM. CPT regards all clocks as mere suggestions and hypothetical aspirations, indicative of those of melanated individuals with a proclivity towards fugitivity, contrarianism, curiosity, counterproductivity, procrastination, laissez-faire, and small traces of don't give a fucktivity. The unstable and unpredictable nature of CPT destabilizes concrete factors which would support early detection. In fact, early is not a concept within the temporal framework of CPT. It is an improbability. Although researchers squabble over regions and dates, CPT is long rumored to have origins in ancient Africa. However, its permutations and iterations are at this point global. Rooted in both corporality and intuitivism, this contested unit of time can swallow up to 12 hours whole and has been known to drive parents, friends, teachers, partners, employers, aunties, uncles, cousins, and them stark raving mad. It can be argued those in rigid relationship with Western 12-hour clock-based understandings of time frequently find themselves completely undone upon encountering a practitioner of CPT. Typical responses taken straight from the imperialist playbook are to discredit the offending CPT practitioners: A, professionalism, B, intelligence, C, character, D, culture. And I think I have 12,000 different kinds of letters in here. I think the alphabet was just twisted up on here. And F, to vehemently argue for the respect of one's time, our ever-present dictator of days. Despite repeated attempts by the imperial fleet to stamp it out, CPT remains a persistent alternative measurement of time that possesses infinite possibilities for liberation, innovations within its boundaryless frameworks. See also time warps, slippage, improvisation, jazz, wormholes, diaspora, drapetomania, divine timing, portals. We're gonna read 2 more, I think. Note to the girls in the future. I am writing this from a distant past, a faraway galaxy in an unstable disposition. You should know right away that everything I say is a lie. A belief, an idea formed from a skewed mind state, a miserable vantage point. I'm about as trustworthy a narrator you could get. I'm sorry to inform you, I know you value truth. I want you to believe, but choose carefully. Belief can turn into the thing that drags you. Also, it may very well be the only thing worth believing in is this is my last poem. I just want to say thank you. I'm not looking at that chat because, y'all not going to distract me. Listen, it's already hard enough. Okay? Then y'all want me to engage with chats too. I'm not going to do it, beloveds. Call for the new images The new visions, that new, those ideas that unfold life like newborn fingers unfurled to grasp your fat finger, images that beckon your gaze like a soon-to-be lover, images that break like dawn, slice death down with a barrage of paper cuts. No more boots on necks, no more nooses, no more gasp for air, no chokeholds. No more mobile videos of backs blown out in open fields, no more women's hands poking through the broken slats of misogyny's dungeons. No more teddy bear totems and elementary school photos on the 5 o'clock news. No more, it's not me. No more, it doesn't affect me. No more tis tis. No more tears, guilt, and Twitter trolls. It is you. Here's a mirror. Look behind you, beyond you. Here's a portal. Jump through it. Make magic. Follow the breadcrumbs. The North Star, the scary crackle of tree branches just ahead in the dark. Take the darkness into your fists and smash it on the warm stones of daylight. Make daylight. No more caskets for us all to crawl into. No more remix autopsy recitations. No more black masked mammies. No more brown bodies on your cooling boards and studio floors. No more satirical snark crafted to suffocate. No more grabbed bodies. No more public private intellectual masturbating. No more 20th century icons as dead talking heads to justify injustice. That's my timer. It says stop. Artists, writers, intellectuals, inventors. Tina Turner already told you we don't need another hero. We don't need another way home. Make a new home. A 21st century vision, a future image. Get up from the banquet table of the Feast of American Madness, wipe your mouth and turn the entire table over, grab the hand of the person next to you and make a break for it. French kiss the idea of humanity. If you find your imagination cannot stop itself from churning out the death scripts of the death machines, pull its plug, dismantle it, reprogram it, dream daylight, manufacture daylight. We are the magicians, make magic. Thank y'all so.
Put your hands together for Krista. And Krista, can I ask you, do you have the level of nerve that I'm thinking and that what's behind you, you also made?
You asked me, there are pieces behind mine. Yes.
Is that what you just did?
That's all me back there.
This is the thing about you. You're like,
all me.
Excuse me, it's all an installation, every moment. Just highly interactive. It's a lot for me. I'm not trying to make you do more work, but I feel as though I need the whole outfit. I need drip, Krista drip, head to toe. The sweat tracksuit, eye patch. I need the whole fucking thing, all of it. That's what I need. You know what I'm saying? Unfortunately, I was raised in this capitalist society, and the only way I know how to express, I need the outfit. That's where I'm at.
I got you.
I have the book. What's next? I have the book, but how will people know I have the book, Krista? I love you. Thank you so much. Thank you. And if you now the chat is just ready for your perusal because people are wiling in the chat. Let me tell you what. They're really going off. I'm glad that, in fact, no screenshots because people are really going off in the chat in a way where it's like, what happens in Vegas truly needs to stay in Vegas. Okay. Are you guys ready? Because we're just gonna continue. Same momentum, different homie. Boom. Okay. Dr. Adam Falkner is a poet, musician, educator, and race and equity strategist. His work focuses on intersectional themes of race, gender, queer life, and social justice education. He is the author of The Willies, out from Button Poetry in 2020, and Adoption, winner of the Diode Editions Chapbook Award, and his writing has been featured on programming for HBO, The Guardian, The New York Times, and elsewhere. He has toured the United States as a guest artist, lecturer, and trainer, and was the featured performer at President Obama's grassroots ball at the 2009 presidential inauguration. Adam is a founding partner of the pioneering diversity consulting group, the Dialogue Arts Project, shout out to DAP, and holds over a decade of cross-industry experience developing creative diversity curricula and cultural programming for corporate, academic, and nonprofit partners. A former high school English teacher in New York City, shout out to teachers. Shout out to Brittany Rogers, a teacher in the chat. Adam's pedagogy and research focus on understanding how elements of performance, storytelling, and technology work together to foster empathy in individuals and organizations. He is a senior consultant with Jennifer Brown Consulting and has held teaching and facilitation appointments at Columbia University, Vassar College, Pahara Institute, Pinterest. This nigga's just like out here. He's like, Gushers, them too, whoever, fans, whoever, and elsewhere. He holds a PhD in English and education from Columbia University. Adam is that dude. He's truly that dude. Adam, do you remember when we were straight and I was in love with you? And now we're gay and I'm in love with you? You've just been so on point for so long. I've known Adam since I was 16 and neither of us had any sense. I've been on countless planes, trains, automobiles with this dude, always in some bus headed to some fucking random street corner or university to read poems. And there's a supreme sense of just like relief when you're like squatted up with Adam. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I was the kind of person, I'll just say yes to, I'll just like, sure, I'll go. But if Adam's there, I'm like, I feel like it's gonna be okay. If Adam's going, I'm not going to my doom right now. Adam would not just sign up for no wild shit. So I am safe if Adam is going there. I look to my right and there's a support, a safety, like, what's it called? Like this is like whatever a better word for like something you can depend on is. Do you know what I'm saying? Like in a science experiment, like the thing that you don't change, like you're constant. That's Adam for me. That's Adam's work. It's just always been, he's always been there. He's always been there doing it just before I do. So I can be safe in my experimenting. So I can be safer in my curiosities and my creativity in the world. And he's just like my dearest friend. And his book is so good and so spicy. I cannot wait for y'all to hear him. Please just show all of your love, all your adoration for like the heartthrob of my world, Adam Falkner.
Angel, I love you so fucking much. And you are a control group just the same. You say jump, I ask how high. And that's what true communion is in this world, right? We follow each other. I adore you and feel blessed to be able to walk in this life alongside you and your art in your heart. Wow, remember when we were straight? That's, I just jotted that down. You might hear that in some.
It was rough. I wouldn't say it was good.
Yeah, I'm not positive that there isn't photographic proof. If anyone wants to break the internet.
If I wasn't the worst, the known worst / emailer, you would have in your possession some of the wildest pics that I've just heard. And I will eventually get those to you.
Oh my God.
Please read poems. I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
Let's start this. Yeah, there are people watching. This is a public space. I love y'all. I'm also, for what it's worth, going to sing because it's how I have come to drop myself into these spaces, particularly when there's Zoom, and I'm so stoked to be here. Yeah, as a former heterosexual, I would like to, bring that into the space. I just don't wanna pray. Said I just wanna pray. Said I just want to pray. There's air in my lungs. There is sun on my skin. And I'm grateful for this room I'm in. There is warmth in my laugh. There's blue in my sky. And I'm grateful for this heart that's mine. And I do not take enough time to praise, which is why we're here tonight. So I just want to praise the lot of you, wherever you are in your Zoom rooms, and my neighbors for allowing the walls to be as thin as they are. I just want to praise. And so what if I'm not ready to leave yet? So what if I like it in a house where it's warm? Where my dog's paws smell of hot sleep and corn chips, and every day right now is sad, but it is the same. So what if I like the way we check on each other now, even if the forecast doesn't change? Boxed light and ticker tape, a stiff gin to remind the day to turn. I used to be bummed by all there was to want, and how much time we had in the life of a single day to go get it. How every day was a refresh, a menu of metrics to measure my worth with. Better light in an apartment, better job, better boyfriend, my friends, love louder, a happier way to have your cake and eat it. But now, the life that could have been does not even make sense. I don't secretly want to be a pop star. I don't want to be a famous professor anymore, or a senator, or, depending on the day, whatever my whiteness makes me think I can have. And we're working on that. But let's just say I crave less. Yes? Say I starve for little more than the dust of a single beloved earring dangling against stubble mid-hug in a doorway, a street corner. The wheeze and wet laughter in a corner booth, palms pounding the table in good story, single slung arm around a neck. I am saying this is the 354th straight day I have closed my eyes and imagined this world. We do not return to the plod of hard start times and efficient email follow-ups. The thirst for some almighty better fades like footprints in a rainstorm. I am saying to you, I call them all weekly now. I am in love with all things so suddenly small and tender, flung wide at the hinge, raw, a wire scraped so far open, I could sing. Thanks, y'all. I'm really, really excited and honored to be with y'all tonight. Thank you, Greenlight. Greenlight is, my true home court book reading community, and has been for many years. And I'm just so grateful to be in concert and in communion and in conversation with Kaveh and Krista and Angel. We've already covered our kinship. I'm always a little hesitant about reading, like in the processing the pandemic poems while we're all still obviously processing the fucking moment we're in. And the reason I think I've given myself permission to do so more is because, one, I love reading about how much I love my people. And the last year of my life has just crystallized the kind of tenacity with which I would do absolutely anything for the people who have made me possible. And then the other thing is, it's just made a much greater clarity for me around the stories I know I need to tell in this life, which maybe brings me to the next handful of poems that, I'll read tonight, which are from the Willies. The Willies is really telling two stories. One is, my own coming into queerhood, their stories of masculinity. And the other is my father's sort of descent into and recovery from addiction and substance abuse. And it's the various costumes that he and I have hid in on those respective journeys spanning like 20 years. So I'm mostly just gonna rattle off a bunch of poems from this book and some other new things, and you'll hear a maybe slightly disruptive young adult voice that enters these, and they're from a new project, but you know, we'll keep it moving and you'll hear it when you hear it. Love you, Hanif, good to see you. Let's get one thing halfway straight. I have spent my entire life trying on costumes because nobody told me I couldn't and the stakes were never that high, which I have come to think is mostly what makes a white writer a white writer. The last time anyone referred to me by that name was exactly never, but that is also the point because I am a queer poet, child of an addict, masquerading white boy. My best friend died and it was sad, and these are the stories I water into bloom. Camp counselor, test cheat, choir boy, cipher rapper, pothead, point guard, scratch golfer, honor roll, and Whitman says you contain multitudes. But Whitman was a white writer too. And the not so funny thing about spending a life proving you aren't something is that any story you tell that isn't the story is more like survival, or just a brick for laying until the wall is high enough and you are safe inside and you wake up and you say, whoops, whose house is this? How did I get here? And is it too late to call for help? My father is a mansion made entirely of myths, each vaulted ceiling more elaborate than the last. He is a trophy in a flock of empty frames, fork in the most violent of rivers, a detective, a therapist, a sax player, a nobody. He is a water walker, weaver whose mouth spills stories like night moths. He is legend, both arms around me like bomb blast, storm of 1,000 swallowed keys. Candle in a cave without an entrance, his whiskey glass sloshes into his lap at red lights. Empty groove in a mattress. He is racket of hardback Dickens thrown through drywall. He helps people fish inside themselves for the right lie. He is other women's names in locked cabinets. He is vomit on the carpet in every room in my childhood. He is the scholar of bomb blasts, both arms around me made of myths and keys and red lights and other women. He is piles of snipped strings and snot in a rehab waiting room. He is a hardback water walker, a fishing tale, an elaborate entrance. Joey from Dawson's Creek was my beard, which, if you don't know, means she was my prom date, my monster truck, my main squeeze, rumor swatter. All I had to do was leave my locker ajar for her scotch-taped image to yell to all of B Hall. It was nothing to see here after all, just Joey at the end of a dock. Just Joey in a field of daisies, Joey and Bobby makeup ads and stepping out onto a red carpet. Obviously, this is the gayest thing ever, but let me get to the point. Joey was not real, except that she taught me how simple it was to look and hide and laugh, or how to hold hands at the back of a bus and disappear in the smoky basements of parties and on the hoods of cars in stadium parking lots, or for how to hide in the word faggot when it leaps out your mouth, and how to avoid the boys whose air I could feel come off them and toward me when they walked. Another way of saying this is I am so sorry, because there were so many, and I didn't even watch the show. Pussy don't bite. I mean, I've really reworked that first few words of this poem, and I hope that it sounds better every time it comes out. It does not. That remains the first few words of this poem. Pussy don't bite was what they kept taunting and laughing on the other side of the door. Stay out of the chat, Adam, stay out of the chat. Jessie was older and she was in the good choir and sometimes joked with my friends that she wanted to be the one who fucked me first, which I always thought was weird, but also flattering because she was the lead in the musical and I only had a small part. You get it. So when she grabbed my hand and walked me across the cast party to the bathroom, I was sort of prepared for the worst or the best, or maybe a hand job or easy exit like, wait, I'm stoned, or this will ruin our friendship. But I just didn't factor in the boys and that I would have to do it listening to them, listening to me from the other side of a single thin strip of light, and that passing through them lined up like a corridor outside would be the only way that I would ever get to leave. Part of the costuming that happens in this book is really about race, and it's about cultural appropriation and the ways in which the speaker in these poems is a white kid costuming in and out of Black culture, specifically hip hop culture. And in some ways it's very tethered to sort of queerness. And a lot of the book is organized around the kind of white boy I was when the Wu-Tang dropped, right? Or when the Blueprint came out, or when the Chronic came out again. And I'm actually going to read like a brand new poem. Quick swap out substitute here, just to sort of, I'm working on the nuances between like white queerness, cultural appropriation, and why white gay men get away with what they do in spaces where they in fact owe like legacies, right? To folks that don't look like them. And specifically, we're talking about Black women, right? But I'm gonna read a first draft of something and you know, we'll see how it hits the air. Questioning the whistle. I whistle all the time. Do you whistle because you are good at it, or are you good at it because you whistle? If I asked you where you were when you first learned you had the knack, the juice, the wind, as your pop called it, that sweet air sliding through the coned cave of your mouth, the first time his Nat King Cole danced outside you, saucer splat of the whites in your eyes, could you even recall? Do you even remember your feet prapped on his minivan dash, spit sprayed through gap tooth to giggle? How once it made such a kite of you that you couldn't call it practice? Mere second tongue, acoustic swallow of Satchmo sailed into the echo of public restrooms. And how even in its joy, it was a language to tilt you different. Do you even remember why? Because what white child in America knows much about why? Wouldn't you say we just do and feel whatever soothes the weight of whatever our parents won't speak about? Do you pretend because it hurts? Or does it hurt you because you pretend? Do you know how much you crave the loom call to announce you without you announcing you? Without you announcing you, Aretha stolen in your throat on a subway platform to prove you safe, neither wolf nor wolf crier, nor cop caller. And do you know how violent that sounds? Are you white because all you've had to do is thieve? Or do you thieve because all you are is white? Do you know how many centuries of blood have made you possible? Is that a flag or more hot air in your throat? All right. I'm gonna read one final giant. I'm really, really, really excited to kind of hear you read and finally re-engage with this chat that I've just sort of been like eyeing and giggling at and realized it was best to put in the corner. But thank you all for your action. I read the poem that closes the book because my father is unwell this week. and I'm thinking about him and sending him good energy. And as much as this book is dedicated to a pressure cooker about like masculinity and trying to figure out who fathers are and what that fuck shit in the world means to us, particularly for queer kids, I'm also indebted to his recovery effort and his capacity to try and grow and grow and heal and heal and heal. And it would be a lie for that to also not be part of this narrative. So I'm going to read this for him, and I'm wishing him well tonight. Thank you all for being here. Get well soon from Riverside Church. It has been 15 years since I last walked into a church and meant it. Sat beneath the gaze of stone saints and prayed for anything other than a new pair of basketball sneakers. But I am here on my father's birthday, huddled in the last pew with one leg toward the door like someone might catch me here. Rattle an icy finger in my direction, remember my name from another life. I, the traitor. I, the walk away. But where else do you take questions of fathers and sons and ghosts that have haunted the holy from both of you? He 8 states away, speeding to and from his own trial with a wine glass nuzzled in his lap and a family shrinking in the rear view. And I, here on a cold day in November, driftwood in this sacred, stale cave, wishing I was still in the bed of the man I woke with and courageous enough to tell my father his name. And this, well, this is the great American dad story. Yes? This everyone aches to be a father until we grow up and become our own story. Until it is we who are hunched over toilet seats with vomit draped from the mouth like a silk scarf. Or we who keep silent about the stories we know will save our ticking lives, the ones we bury like animal bones until they gulp us whole. We who build and set ablaze our own homes, string together lies like bed sheets from which to repel, but lest this unravel into yet another poem wherein the author pleads genetics, pleads, damn it if it weren't for this booze and this silence, because I am here today, stealing a moment to hold him up, scared to admit that I might still believe in miracles, the raising of the dead, or the turning of water into, you get it. I need to believe he can jump back in the saddle. So stay with us a while. Happy birthday, Dad. Please get well. Please keep moving. His name is Sean. I talk about you all the time.
We love you, Adam. Thank you so so much. It's really overwhelming. Thank you. Man, really upset that I'm the one that's supposed to do things. Like, it must be a collaborative effort. Can someone hop in so that I can be in my feelings? You know what I'm saying? This is my night. Sorry. Wow. Okay, well, we're here. It's our final reader. Last but literally never in the least. Can't wait to read your bio super slow because I know you hate it. Can't wait to say so many things about you because I know you hate it and you can't leave. And that's so funny to me. All of you know him. You know what's about to happen. You know he's like a little like actual guardian angel, like sweet little goofy baby boy. And his book literally just came out. It's like fresh off the press. Like cord is not even cut. Let me read this bio. Okay. Kaveh Akbar's poems appear in the New Yorker, the New York Times, the Paris Review. Basically, if it's a city and it has a review, his shit is there. Best American Poetry and Elsewhere. His second full-length volume of poetry, Pilgrim Bell, is out now from Grey Wolf. His debut, Calling a Wolf a Wolf, is out with Alice James in the US and Penguin in the UK. Just hopping over the Atlantic. Just backwards colonization. Boop. He is also the author of Verse, 100 Poets on the Divine. Kaveh's really out here and he doesn't talk about anything he's doing. So this is kind of cool because it's like every time you read his bio, it's like a reveal. It's like a gender reveal of just what this nigga be doing out here in the world. In 2020, Kaveh was named Poetry Editor of the Nation, the recipient of honors including multiple Pushcart prizes, that fucking castle in Italy that everyone just be going to. He was there. And the Levi Reading Prize. Kaveh was born in Tehran, Iran, and teaches at Purdue University and the low residency MFA programs, Randolph College, shout out, shout out, shout out, and Warren Wilson, shout out, shout out, shout out. In 2014, Kaveh founded Dive Dapper, a home for dialogues with the most vital voices in American poetry. With Sarah Kay and Claire Schwartz, he wrote a weekly column for the Paris Review called Poetry RX. This is my baby. This is my boo. He's the only person that I can't get annoyed with, no matter how much he annoys me. Do you know what I mean? It's like, he's like my, he's like my me. I was reflecting on our little text exchange, Kav. He sent me a picture of himself with a very large ficus, like a very large ficus. And I know that sounds funny, but maybe not that odd to you. But Kaveh is not like a plant guy. He's like a cat guy, a baseball card guy, a nachos guy. Do you think like a guy in a robe? But he's not like a plant guy. But I think this was like his foray. Maybe we haven't talked, but I think that's like his foray into planthood. And I just had to laugh because I was like, Kav, you are so bad at tapering into anything. You're just like, if you like want to fuck with something, you're like devout. You're just like on that. And that is I mean, it's probably like overwhelming for you, but for like us, those who love you and those who surround you, it's really a gift of an experience because you're like evangelical with your love and with your adoration, with your attention. It's like frightening how good this new book is. It's like, I almost have to separate that you wrote it because it's like, I know you don't want to talk about those poems. They're amazing. It's kind of weird that that's just what you're on. I hope, like my wish for you as like a friend, but also as, I mean, really, I'm like your fan first. I'm your fan, I'm your manager. Somebody book Kav. What I want is for you to like not taper the same way for everything else that you do with yourself. Like you're that good. You're the best thing. That's why your book is so good. I know that's like sacrilege. We shouldn't say that, like bad people make good books all the time, but I think the specific like timelessness of this book, it could only come from somebody who's like purest wish is to like love a thing and look at it carefully. Anyways, I'm gonna stop talking. I love you. Please read some poems to us. Everybody welcome Kav.
Yeah, I feel like I feel like I'm at another intervention for myself, except it's like a reverse intervention where I'm like, people are intervening to be like, Kaveh, you should actually love yourself, which is an intense kind of intervention. You did call me a nacho guy, which leveled things out a little bit for me. I appreciated that sort of tapering of the atmosphere. Nacho guy. Yeah, I can't. Y'all are right. I can't look at the chat because it's gonna fuck me up. Thank you so much, Krista and Adam. I'm such fans of yours. As maybe I don't know the extent to which I've articulated that over the years, but I really, really am, and it's a profound gratitude to get to be here with you all. Angel, you're my best friend. To whom I'm not married, and I'm grateful every day that I get to FaceTime you and, drive around doing errands with, I guess I shouldn't admit to doing that. That's a bad thing. But, don't drive around doing errands on FaceTime. But, if one hypothetically were to do that, there's no one I'd rather do it with than you. Yeah, the ficus is way, way, way too big. We just got like the world's largest and most extravagant ficus. And it like almost literally doesn't fit in our house. Okay. Angel encouraged us to read.
Oh, the ficus!
You want to see the ficus?
Oh, the ficus!
Hold up. What? Paige told me I have to turn the lights on. Hold up. This is going to be totally worth it. Do you see this giant fucking? Hold up. Do you see this? It's like you can't really. I don't know if you can get a sense of scale. Oh, here's Paige next to it. You guys see? No.
Really tall.
But I'm not wearing any. I'm wearing.
What am I gonna do?
Okay. Yeah, it's like I'm a 6'4" man, and this is a whole tree in our house now. So that's good. There's a door here that is now inaccessible to us, which is good. Thank you, Paige. Transcendent American Paige Lewis, making a cameo. Anyway, so we got a really big ficus that's, I guess, that's gonna be like the ficus's side of the house now, which is good. Okay, so Angel encouraged us to share new things or like B-sides or whatever in this space. So I'm gonna try to do that. But I'm gonna read a poem. I have a book, and I'm gonna read a poem. The ficus is the fourth reader. It's gotta have some stories to tell. You don't get to be that big and without being like also kind of learned. But I'm gonna start with a poem from the book to sort of like gussy myself up, and then I'll move into maybe newer or stranger stuff. I mean, the book is literally like a month old. Like it's not even, but it's funny to think of like it being old, relatively speaking, because you spend like years with a thing before it's actually out in the world. Anyways, this is called The Miracle. It orbits the revelation of the Quran to the Prophet Muhammad as he was alone and fasting in a cave. He was illiterate, and the angel Gabriel, in order to reveal Quran to him, gave him language. He made him not illiterate. And so like parallel to the virgin birth in Christianity, is the story of literacy in Islam, which I always thought was kind of cool. This is the miracle. Gabriel seizing the illiterate man alone and fasting in a cave and commanding, "Read." The man saying, "I can't." Gabriel squeezing him tighter, commanding, "Read." The man gasping, "I don't know how." Gabriel squeezing him so tight he couldn't breathe, squeezing out the air of protest, the air of doubt, crushing it out of his crushable human body, saying, "Read in the name of your Lord who created you from a clot." And thus, literacy, revelation. It wasn't until Gabriel squeezed away what was empty in him that the prophet could be filled with miracle. Imagine the emptiness in you, the vast cavities you have spent your life trying to fill with fathers, mothers, lovers, language, drugs, money, art, praise, and imagine them gone. What's left? Whatever you aren't, which is what makes you. A house useful not because it's floorboards or ceilings or walls, but because the empty space between them. Gabriel isn't coming for you. If he did, would you call him Jibril or Gabriel like you are here? Who is this even for? One crisis at a time. Gabriel isn't coming for you. Cheese on a cracker, a bit of salty fish. Somewhere a man is steering a robotic plane into murder. Robot from the Czech robota, meaning forced labor. Murder labor, forced. He never sees the bodies which are implied by their absence, like feathers on a paper bird. Gabriel isn't coming for you. In the absence of cloud parting, trumpet blaring clarity, what? More living, more money, lazy sex, mother, brother, lover, you travel and bring back silk scarves, a bag of chocolates for you don't know who yet. Someone will want them. Deliver them to an empty field. You fall asleep facing the freckle on your wrist. Somewhere a woman presses a button that locks metal doors with people behind them. The locks are useful to her because there is an emptiness on the other side that holds the people's lives in place. She doesn't know the names of the people. Anonymity is an ancillary feature of the locks. Ancillary from the Latin ancilla, meaning servant, an emptiness to hold all their living. You created from a clot. Gabriel isn't coming for you. You too full to eat, you too locked to door, too cruel to wonder. Gabriel isn't coming for you. You too loved to love, too speak to hear, too wet to drink. No, Gabriel, you too pride to weep, you too play to still, you too high to come. No, Gabriel won't be coming for you. Too fear to move, you too pebble to stone, too saddle to horse, too crime to pay. Gabriel, no, not anymore. You too gone to save, too bloodless to martyr, too diamond to charcoal, too nation to earth. You brute, cruel pebble. Gabriel, God of man, no, cheese on a cracker. Mercy, mercy. Okay, that was from the book. I'm gonna share a prose thing. Actually, I don't know. I wrote this yesterday, and in the spirit of sharing like very, very, very shiny new things, this is just like I don't know. It doesn't have a beginning. It doesn't have an end. It's just a prose thing. But in the spirit of doing as Angel asks, I'm just gonna read this thing. Yeah, shiny. Yeah. Okay. Again, there's no intro. It's just a block of text in a Word document.
Nigga, you don't read this fucking prose. You're platter of woe ass.
I have to gussy myself up to it. Okay. When someone shares a horrible experience, you must reach to language in all its endless impotence to somehow, all at once, announce your awareness of the situation's horribleness, your gratitude for the person's having lived to tell you about it, your unwavering support moving forward, your impossible desire for them to have never suffered, and it's impossible. You may as well have to suddenly, on the spot, invent cold fusion. What is it to write a horrible experience? Does my putting a horrible experience here in these letters provoke in you, the reader, that same desperate performance anxiety? How will I comfort this man? He's not even in my room. When I read, I find myself constantly wanting to say, oh, honey, oh, honey, oh, honey. Mary Carr on the voice of God, and this is a quote from Mary Carr writing about the voice of God. It says the most obvious crap. Put down that gun, you need a sandwich. An incomplete list of literary figures for whom I would like to make a sandwich. Antigone, Back Isaac, Caliban, Paul Crowder, Hagar, Judas, Anna Karenina, Lot's wife, Othello, Piccola Breedlove, Arthur Rimbaud, Sappho. When I was a kid, we owned exactly 2 VHS tapes. One was 1994's Speed, where Keanu Reeves had to stop a bus going over 60 miles per hour in order to keep a bomb from exploding. The other was 1992's White Men Can't Jump, featuring Woody Harrelson as a young streetball hustler opposite Wesley Snipes. I can't remember why we had those two VHS tapes. I think my dad got them as a prize at his farm, but my brother and I would spend our summers watching those two movies over and over and over, probably hundreds of times over the years. His favorite was Speed, mine was White Men Can't Jump. There's a scene in that movie where Woody Harrelson's character Billy is in bed with his love interest Gloria, unforgettably played by Rosie Perez. Cuddling in the crook of Billy's arm, half awake, Gloria says, "Billy, I'm thirsty." He gets out of bed, walks off camera, and returns with a glass of water. Gloria sits upright and says, "Just because I'm thirsty doesn't mean I want you to bring me a glass of water." Billy is incredulous. In disbelief, he asks, "Did you have a bad dream?" Gloria patiently explains that when she says she's thirsty, she doesn't want Billy to try to fix it. She wants him to say, "I too have been thirsty." Billy's eyes bug out, and in his exasperated protest against Rosie's logic, he dumps the water all over her. When I read an author write, "I am thirsty," I can neither bring them water nor share with them a story about my having experienced thirst. That unresolved desire to comfort within me, where does it go? How many nerve endings, synapses within my brain have been corroded by this empathy anxiety? Here's a poem by the poet Heather Crystal, and I'm just going to read this poem quick. It's a very short poem, but it's by the poet Heather Crystal, Christle. Mistake. For years, I have seen dead animals on the highway and grieved for them only to realize they are not dead animals. They are t-shirts or bits of blown tire, and I have found myself with this excess of grief I have made with no object to let it spill over, and I have not known where to put it or keep it. And then today I thought, I know, I can give it to you. This literally happens to my spouse, Paige, all the time. On a drive, a dead raccoon on the side of the road turns out to be a bag of socks. A swollen deer is actually a fallen tree. What to do with what Crystal calls an excess of grief? More times than I can count, we've arrived at a friend's house with Paige still shaken, sullen. I can't bring them water. I too saw the bag of socks doesn't help. What is the obsessive desire in me to repair? Fix the having seen the not raccoon in my spouse, to bring Desdemona back to life, or remind young Rimbaud to pace himself, drink water between drinks. A 2012 Harvard study showed that a person became 21 times more likely to suffer a heart attack within a day of losing a beloved. The week after losing a beloved, it hovers around 8 times more likely, and it stays dramatically elevated for a month or more after the event. I'm not a neuroscientist, and I don't mean to conflate the experience of losing a corporeal beloved with the death of a beloved fictional character. But the brain cannot be that sophisticated. We didn't evolve in our hunter-gatherer pasts to differentiate neurological griefs between fictional and corporeal characters. When I spend 800 pages falling in love with Anna Karenina, only to watch her throw herself under a freight train, my brain, my body experienced a grief. Tolstoy rendered her real, and so she was to my lizard brain. I moped around for weeks. What did that do to my meat, to my heart? The end of Crystal's poem makes me think of you, the reader. Where to put that grief? I know, I can give it to you. Is that what Tolstoy was doing? Was Anna Karenina the cup into which he poured his grief at the death of his brother, at the horrors of the Crimean War? Why did I drink from it willingly? For a time in my early 20s, I got my groceries from a man on Craigslist who kept a spare room full of them. Juices, boxed soups, just expired pastries lining his plastic shelves. In exchange for a couple brown paper bags full of whatever food I chose, I'd do menial yard work for him while he sat sipping beer in a lawn chair, intensely watching me. He was young, soft, with curly blonde hair and an anxious air that made me feel like I was somehow in charge, even though I was the one ringing his doorbell each month. I'd pull nails from a stack of splintering boards, and he'd watch, lounging 5 feet away. If I went too fast, he'd ask me to hammer them back in. It was the watching he wanted, not the work. Sometimes he'd be in his underwear or just a pair of basketball shorts. He was skinny, maybe 30. He never touched me or asked me to touch him. One time he answered the door and seemed not to recognize me. He explained I must be there for his identical twin brother. I thought he was joking until his exact doppelganger, shirtless, chest sunk in, nervously bounded down the stairs to quickly usher me to his backyard without making eye contact with his brother at the door. Maybe this doesn't mean anything. I wanted his cereal, tomato paste. He wanted to watch me move. One thing, then the next. Examining my unexamined life hasn't immediately clicked everything into psychospiritual significance. It just helps me remember the people I've been, that I too have been thirsty. Okay, but then why share it? Because probably, yes, a part of me likes it when people watch me pull nails from boards, hammer them back in. I'm just gonna stop there. But it's like I don't know, I'm doing a prose thing.
You wrote it.
I wrote it. I've literally never read, I don't think I've ever read prose before. Certainly not like well, I mean, I've read like lectures on poetry or stuff, but I've never read like, here's what I think about shit prose in front of people before. So
I love it because I think people hear your poems, and even me included, and I know your ass, and I'm like, wow, what an image, what a metaphor. And then in your prose, it's like, this actually, it's not, this happened.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I feel like that happens a lot in my work where like, I don't like to go through my poems and be like, this is real, this really happened to me, or, you know, but I feel like people would be like, a lot of the times people are like, what is the difference between you and your eye? And a lot of the times I feel like there's not really as much of a difference as I'm supposed to pretend that there is, you know what I mean? All right, I'm just gonna read, I don't know, maybe I'll just read one more poem. And again, in the spirit of just like reading new shit, maybe in the spirit of just reading new shit. This is not actually a new poem. In fact, this is like a super, super old poem, but I discovered it the other day on my computer. It was like from the very, very, sorry, this is like a very page-centric reading, like you even saw them, but like, the other day in my computer, I found this like poem that I sent to Paige, like, I don't know how else to say it except to say like after the first time we hooked up, which is like super like, and I was like, I'm gonna write you a poem, you know, and I actually like this poem. Like I found it, I had completely forgotten about it. Paige said they remembered it, but I'm skeptical. But I do this thing still to this day, and it's just funny. It's like uncanny because Paige goes to bed before I do by like several hours, and I always come in and like sort of like, you know, curl up next to them, and they always like wake up just a little bit, and then like I'm excited because my friend is awake and next to me, so then I can't help myself but like try to talk to them a little bit, and they're like, shh, you know. Anyways, and so I have this habit of like accidentally waking them up and then like trying to start conversations with them, which has been sort of perennially true. Anyway, this is longer than the poem. The poem is called Amends. It seems absurd that sex exists between us. Absurd your body could be filled with anything but colorful ribbon. Somehow you seem unalarmed by this. Again and again, you allow me to pitch woo. This is a weird thing to be reading, actually. To pitch woo, to lift up your blouse and whirl around your human shape with wild immoderation. It's true, I suppose, most wonders don't know they're wonders. an aqueduct's wobbly pipes, the motion of a clarinetist's fingers. There's a feathery hole in my brain that causes me to ramble, tongue mad and eager, whenever you are trying to sleep. If I haven't fixed this before I die, I promise to try to come back as a pillow. That's it. I don't know. Listen, I don't know. It's just like Paige is like smiling at me. It's a very goofy poem, but I found it on my computer the other day, and I was like, promise to come back as a pillow. That's like a nice little, I don't know. I kind of fuck with that. Yeah, I don't know. I guess that's it. I probably could have like ordered those better in a way that made more sense, but in the spirit of like just truly not doing the same thing that I do at readings and trying to do new shit at this one. Thank you so much, Angel. I love you forever and always, and I can't wait to debrief and apologize for all of this very soon.
Oh, Kav, you monster. Thank you, Paige. Obviously and honestly, muse to us all. I am emotional, sweaty, confused, happy, a lot of other things. I'm so grateful for all of the poems. I'm so grateful for all of the little in-between, connective tissue moments, everybody speaking to each other in the chat. Just, it's so good. It's like, ugh. I'm kind of like, I do want to see everyone again, but I still somehow I'm like, can we still have the chat? Can we just be in a room chatting? I love y'all, and I just cannot. Please go buy their books. Go buy their books again, twice, 3 times. If you don't have the old ones, buy that. Find out their favorite authors and buy those books too. It's really that time. It's that moment. Greenlight is putting the links in there for you to do said things. Support Greenlight, which is just, they're the best one. I mean, I know they're like, oh, bookstores in Brooklyn, but it's like, they're not really. They don't really know. You know what I'm saying? It's the little like, they're like filters. You know what I'm saying? But Greenlight is like the real, like the actual ocean, like the real thing happening. Thank you, Jean. Thank you, Greenlight. Thank you, Shira, for taking care of the animals while I'm hosting. I love you all. Please be in touch. And honestly, I think Greenlight has like a mailing list. If you sign up for it, you will always find out what readings are popping, not just with the salon, but at Greenlight as a whole. Okay, Gina, I don't know if you wanted to hop on and say something professional, because I am not that.
Wow, yeah, impossible to follow up, but thank you all for joining us for this incredible, just virtual wall breaking evening. The buy links are in the chat. It's been an incredible evening. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Angel. Thank you, Kaveh. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Krista. And have a great night, everybody.